Everyone sees the games, but not everyone sees the people behind it. Behind every team, every event, every moment, there's a career making it happen. Careers Behind the Game takes you inside the sports industry with the people actually doing the jobs. There is no gatekeeping, there is no fluff, just real stories and real advice. If you want to break into sports, this is where you start. Careers Behind the Game, hosted by Jeremy Hathler, streaming right now. Welcome to Careers Behind the Game, where we break down the careers in the sports industry with people actually doing them. And I'm your host, Jeremy Hathler, and we are on episode 4, I believe now, because we've done so many episodes I've lost count now. But today we are joined by our guest, Mandy Moran, who works in game day operations as the Gatorade manager at IMG Academy. Yes, we all know Gatorade is one of the biggest sports drinks probably in the world. It is definitely. But she's at the IMG at the Paragon Sports Marketing is what she really works around with, and has firsthand experience in live sporting events happening from start to finish, where we're going to be talking about what an actual game day looks like, the pressure behind it, and what most fans don't realize. Because nobody realizes, like, you're just watching the game on TV, but nobody knows, like, hey, I got to go do this, that, and, like, make sure everything gets set up so nothing fails and goes terribly wrong. But Mandy, I welcome you to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Little introduction to myself. My name is Mandy Moran. I'm the Gatorade manager here at IMG Academy. My team and I handle all the hydration, nutrition, some of the product distribution, as well as assisting with some of the brand marketing for all of the 12 sports, third-party events, and professional athlete trainings we have here at IMG Academy. My day in, day out is pretty much kind of handling everything brand forward here on campus, and I work with a wonderful team of several departments here at the Academy to make sure that everything that we host here goes off smoothly.
And where did your passion begin of wanting to work obviously in sports, but really into game day operations of sports? Where did that come for you?
So I went to Florida State and I worked in athletics. It was funny enough, my first job at Florida State. I've always known I wanted to work in sports. As soon as I got to Florida State, I was like, hey, what do we have? What's open? Where can you put me? And I ended up working in facility and operations. So I ended up working like Florida State runs their operations to where like you're doing stadium cleanups, prepping for events, kind of a little bit of everything. And it gave me a really solid foundation of what it was going to take to work in sports and make it successful. And I think that for me was seeing all of the background work and behind the scenes work to get to game day, and then see game day. Game day is just a section of everything that leads up to it. And so to see all of that work and back planning and figuring things out to get to game day and then get to experience game day, even though working it, I mean, really just kind of lit a fire for me. And I was just like, I love this. I can do this every day. I am running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And still, I was just like, I couldn't wait to go back the next day. So for me, I think working in Division I sports for as long as I did, I ended up working every role under the sun while I was there. Anything that they needed, it didn't matter if I'd done it before or not. Sure, yeah, whatever you need, I'm here. That really kind of created a passion for me that led me to where I am today.
What has been your favorite event you've worked in, like whether it's with like you're doing with now at the IMG Academy or throughout like with FSU or other events? What would you say has been your favorite event you've worked in your entire sports career?
I'm stuck between two.
Okay.
I think my first one, I got a phone call and offer to work the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was hosted here in Tampa, and they were looking for someone local that kind of had a good handle on operations. And so I was brought in to do kind of event staff ops for the Super Bowl, and it was incredible. We did all of the SBX kind of introduction to where the entire Bayshore Park was turned into an experience for the Super Bowl. And just seeing kind of the holy grail of events, at least from the football sideline, come together just was really probably one of the cooler things. Like, not a lot of people can say that they've worked a Super Bowl. So for me, that was super unique. And then I would say my favorite event that I worked throughout the year is probably the Under Armour All-America game. That was something that in the past several years, like I've been able to go work, and I love it. It's a really fun week. It's really cool to see all the football, volleyball, and see all of these moving pieces from across the country kind of come together.
I've gone with the studio, like the studio, obviously it's like an amazing event and everything. Like that's one of the superior like wish list is like the gauntlet, as you just mentioned, like the holy grail, of course. But going to more of like your role now, how would you describe your role from start to finish on a game day? Because we all know in the sports industry, it gets chaotic. Like there are things that are not going to go right. You plan as much as you can and it still fails. but it's always different. Like it's never the same exact thing. That's what we love about sports. But how would you best describe it, Mandy?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the coolest things about sports is even though your job description may be the same day in and day out, every day is a little different no matter what you do. I am lucky enough to run a team of about 40 college students where I bring in interns over the summer, recent graduates, and I train them to sort of help manage the operations across campus. So for us, depending on whether we're doing an IMG game, like a football game, or if we're hosting, a third party event, my team kind of has a handle on a little bit of everything that happens here on campus. So, football games for us give us a little bit of a later start in the day. We were able to start more of around that 2 o'clock window with visiting teams arriving. We set up all the hydration in the locker rooms for both the visiting and home teams, as well as kind of your sideline setup. So for us, our home game items are a little bit smoother just because, like, the home game, we know what it is, and it's all very, like, cookie cutter, cut dry. It's the same thing every Friday night to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing on a third party event, for example, and we're working the Under Armour Nationals track and field right now. That starts at your early morning. So tomorrow morning, like my team will be in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we'll start making sure that everything from the night before gets like reset. All of the coolers are refreshed, refilled. All of our tents and branding items are where they're supposed to be, making sure that everything is set up for the athlete needs, and as well as making sure that, the products are being distributed properly. Like there's Gatorade at every station, making sure that everything from a visual standpoint is looking great. And then as far as maintaining that event, which is part of our role, is making sure, my team is out there every 30 minutes doing checks, making sure that the coolers are full, that there's cups, that everything that is needed from our end on the event side is handled. And that's a lot of checking in with the different departments. We have a wonderful events team here at IMG Academy, and we work very, very closely with them to make sure that taking care of client needs, if there are athlete needs, making sure that everybody is aligned and doing what they need to be doing to ensure that smooth game day. So from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., any given event day, mind you, and it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or like a Thursday to Monday event. It really could be, depending on the event, it's an all day venture. So it's almost a repetitive day in and day out, but every single day when you get in, you're like, okay, we need to check this, this, and this. We need to go by and talk to this person, talk to that person. Has so-and-so been fed? Have we checked the trash cans? Have we made sure that, the Gatorade got mixed properly, or like that cooler's leaking? Did it get changed out? It's coordinated chaos is my favorite way to describe it. So really kind of as soon as you get in, there's no stopping until the end of the day. Always on the move, always doing checks and just making sure that everything is like good to go and where it should be.
Obviously, you do a lot of the events at the academy, but sometimes like to travel. So, what would you say the biggest difference? Like, obviously, you have to travel and everything, but what would you say is the biggest difference from doing it from home versus like going on the road with the team of like whether it's football, other sports teams?
Perfect. Yeah. So I am lucky enough that I get to travel with our national football and national basketball teams. It's a very different setup. Obviously, here at home, if something doesn't show up on a shipment, if, a product changes, if something happens, I have everything here on site. So going on the road, when we fly to California, fly to Philadelphia, Chicago, Indiana, wherever it may be, Alabama, it's being able to be flexible and being on the fly. I'm grateful enough to have been doing this long enough that if we get to, say, California and maybe an ice chest hasn't shipped or there's not enough product and we need to go get more, I have the availability to be able to go and like we have to buy more product, or we have to kind of plan accordingly of like, okay, if we're going to, say, practice before we go to the hotel, well, all the product is at the hotel. Do I have time to go get it? Or do I need to just figure something out on the fly on the way to practice to make sure that everybody has what they need when we're traveling? So on the road definitely comes with its hiccups and a little kind of more flexibility. But I think that's kind of the big difference is, you can problem solve at home when everything's here. I have extra coolers, I have ice chests, extra product, different resources versus, we're in a city that we've never been at, a random hotel that we're trying to get on the way to the gym to go train for basketball or on the way to the field for practice for football, walkthroughs. It comes with a certain set of challenges, but it's very rewarding. It's a lot of fun and you get creative with it. Like after all this time, just trying to kind of figure out when things like that, it kind of creates a little fun challenge for it.
Trying to get everything all together, like you're doing like the jug, like the Gatorade jugs, making sure they're all like set up. What would you say is like the biggest moving part that people don't realize is happening on a game day?
It takes substantially more people than I think other people realize. Um, because when you have to delegate so many different tasks, and like I said, IMG is its own village where like
Yeah.
there are several different departments that play a role in creating a successful event here. And so that means, the sales team, the events team, sponsorship, the Gatorade team, all of us are working collectively towards the same goal. Whereas most people walk up and they're like, oh yeah, like these people set up the coolers and like, there's two people taking tickets, or there's so much more to it. I think there's so much more groundwork and back planning than people really realize. Because yeah, you see who shows up on game day, but only so many people can or will work game days versus all of the people behind the scenes that are working leading up to that event or game day event.
No, absolutely. And you hit this already before, but what would you say is the most stressful part of game day operations? Because obviously there's pressure, stress, like problem solver is a big skill. A lot of people will say when it comes to operations, but what would you say has been maybe the most stressful in like your eyes of you when you've worked in operations?
I think the most stressful would be like communications. I think communication is key on big time events, being able to talk with other people, knowing how to talk to other people, whether you're communicating with clients or other teammates or other departments. Communication is key and making sure everything's aligned, and that can sometimes be really stressful. Sometimes, one department's working on another project and they don't really have time to answer your call, but like you need an answer to your call because you have to solve this problem over here. So I would say that's probably the most stressful portion. Uh, but it's one of those things that you just learn to laugh and go with the flow. But stressful wise, I would say making sure that comms are on point is probably going to be the big one.
Okay. And going right off that, what would you say has been the most unexpected problem you've had to deal with on game day?
I would say the most unexpected situation I've ever been in is my rental car got stolen on an away trip with football. Thankfully we had gotten through the game, got back from game day. We were getting the guys fed at the hotel, getting everybody squared away. The next morning we donate our stuff on the road to make sure that like any of the host schools and stuff that are helping us out, that they get, the use of the products that we can't take with us. And I went to meet with this lacrosse coach to donate our coolers to the girls lacrosse program in Auburn, Alabama, and went outside and my rental car was gone an hour before we had to go to Atlanta to fly back home.
Ooh.
So that was probably the most unexpected. Thankfully, that team of football crew that we travel with, they're really, really tight knit and they do a wonderful job of. I was like, oh, because now I am calling, my bosses. I'm having to file the rental car report. I'm having to get a ride back because the team's on the bus, and thankfully I was able to ride with some of the other football staff back to the airport to turn in my keys in no car, which obviously came with its own set of challenges and paperwork and filling all that stuff out. But that was definitely one of the most unique experiences I've had in my years in sports. Is we got through the game, we got back, we go to leave, I don't have a rental car. So I would say that was probably that's top of the list.
That's crazy how that's just crazy how that happened. Now you got me thinking on that. Hopefully my car's not stolen whenever I go to game day now. How
Park in
would you
front of cameras. Park in front of
exact
the hotel cameras.
exactly. Now you mentioned before of like not everything goes planned, like in a game day operation like that. Obviously, you didn't expect that to happen. So, how do you handle situations when they don't go as planned? Because I feel like you could have the plan like months in advance, plan it like it could be planned, like you have it all down to like here's the whole thing, here's this, and that. You go do that, and it gets screwed up. It's not going right. How have you handled situations like that, Mandy?
It's all about attitude.
Okay.
Anyone that's worked in sports can tell you that you can plan everything down to the letter, and no matter what, something somewhere will happen. And I think it's a matter of attitude and being able to kind of laugh and be flexible and adaptable. Like you could order everything perfectly, you could do everything right, you can spend months planning, and then the day comes and something's like, well, wait a second, this isn't how we planned it. This isn't like the weather, for example. Sports weather's a huge contender. You could plan this beautiful, flawless event, and if it rains, there's nothing you can do about it. It's out of your control.
Yeah.
So I think managing your attitude and your outlook and how you look at things is the strongest way that when things go wrong, it's the best way you can handle it. Knowing that you know, it's tough. It really is. Knowing you put all this time and effort into planning and then something goes wrong, and it can be soul crushing, but knowing that you couldn't do anything about it, you plan the best event to your ability. If you're there, you're showing up, like you're showing your team that you're there anyways. That goes so much farther than a perfect event. Being flexible, being adaptable, being able to change something on the fly, and just staying positive about it is the most powerful thing you could possibly do when stuff goes wrong. So I think that would be the way I look at it. I think that's when all's going wrong, the best you can do is laugh and see what flexible and what you can adapt to.
Obviously you just mentioned it, but how do you balance the needs of like teams, sponsors, fans all at once, like on a game day or just like an event happening? How do you like you try to be flexible, you just mentioned, but how do you try to balance it all together, would you say? Even though there's like different departments that help out, you mentioned before.
I think I'll touch back into communications. I think when you look at sort of like event orders or looking at like fans and what needs to happen and who you need to connect with, I think having that expectation and level setting of going, okay, I have X, Y, and Z. I need to talk to X person about this portion. I need to make sure that this portion looks good for the fan standpoint. We need to coordinate with coaches so that the athletes know what they're doing. And I think by laying out communications and giving yourself a point of contact for each kind of piece that you're looking at is going to be the best route as far as making sure that, balancing everybody, taking it one piece at a time. Okay, if I've got problem A, let's get through that. Problem B, we can hold off, and prioritizing is massive. There could be 500 things going on that all have to get done at once. But by being able to prioritize and go, okay, this is a big problem. We need to solve this first. How do we do that? And then other portions to it as you prioritize, learning to delegate. It's tough trying to coordinate everything at once. By being able to balance of like, okay, this is priority number 1 and priority number 2, 3 and 4. I have assistant managers. You can go handle that. Like, I need you to fix this. I need you to talk to this coach. And being able to delegate and prioritize really are really powerful when you're trying to make everything happen and balance everything at once.
What's the kind of mindset you need to have to succeed, like either your role or just want to work in operations, but more specifically to your role? What do you like have that to be like? Obviously, you're the go getter part, but like, how do you get the stuff done? Like, what do you have to have?
Positivity. When you step into these kinds of roles, it can be tough. There could be like, there's long days where you're just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe 12 hours goes by faster than you think it does. So I think being positive and knowing that there's a positive outcome and something like you're working towards a common goal is insanely helpful. But I think also from the standpoint of saying yes, there's always a way. And I think even if it's not the way that most people intend, or if it's not perfect, there's always a way to get to the end goal. It might be the roundabout, it might be the scenic route, it could be a direct route. But either way, I think kind of keeping that positive attitude and being like, yes, we can get this done. Like one way or another, we'll figure out a way, is going to be kind of the way to go.
What is the like stereotypical people get wrong about when it comes to the behind the scenes in sports, especially in operations?
I think the biggest misconception is that it's all fun and games and we just get to like hang out with the coaches and the athletes on the sideline, or that we even get to like just go to the event and watch the game. There have been so many events that, I've worked and I've put in hours and I was like looking forward to seeing, the event happen. And then lo and behold, something else happens. And now I'm in the locker room while the game's going on, or, I'm trying to coordinate something else that like, I don't get to be on the sideline, or I don't get to be part of the event, or like certain things change to where now like access credentials change to where you no longer get to go in that space. I think that's kind of the common thing, is that, oh, like once the game starts, we just get to go hang out and be on the sidelines or be in that room with those people. And a lot of times it's not like that. It's not a bad thing. I know it sounds kind of negative, but when you realize the role you play in certain circumstances and certain events, you realize that your role is bigger than being at a football game or being at a basketball game. That's where I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand that sports is just all fun and games and you just hang out and be around everybody all the time. but it's very much like an on the go everybody. And like, don't get me wrong, there are times for those moments where you get to be on the sideline and you get to be part of that like crazy touchdown that ends up on ESPN. But then there's other times where that crazy touchdown happened while you were in the locker room and you're like, no. Um, so that's, I would say that would be.
Going right after that, professionalism is a big thing when it comes to like not only working on sports but obviously in operations. So going like right after that, you just mentioned like you could be in the locker room and like you're just bummed out, or like you're on the field, you get joys of little moments. How would you say for like if you're looking to hire someone or just in general when it comes to working in that, how do you balance that professionalism? Like it's a job, you got to do it versus like I'm a sports fan, I just love enjoying the sports, watch football games.
I think you can ask any of my staff that have worked for me over the years. We've had these conversations of like, hey, look, I know that this is going to be how this is. The term I use very like lightly is embrace the suck. Like, I understand that we got to get this done. I understand it's hot. I know that, you guys want to watch this person, that person, this game. But like at the end of the day, we have a job to do. And I think just being upfront with them of like, hey, this is a job and we have a professional job to do. I think being upfront with them and direct of like, hey, I want you to see this game. Let's get this done. Embrace the suck so that we can get this done and get there so we can watch this game or we can do that. It's just the nature of the beast that like sometimes you don't get to be in those spaces.
Yep.
But I think for the most part, by communicating and really kind of preparing my team, most of them know like if everything that's being asked of you is getting done and you're doing your job and you're controlling everything, I'll do my best to get you out to watch that game. Like, I want you to be part of the experience. I want you guys to see that. If that means I'm taking an extra cooler somewhere so that you guys get to watch, like, I have no problem doing that. If you have my back, I have yours. And that's a working professional relationship where my team knows that, like, I'm not keeping them from an event. I'm not giving them tasks so they don't get to go see something. It's more of like, hey, if you can help me and we can get all this done, then everybody gets to enjoy. So that's kind of where we leave that professional line of, hey, yes, I want you to be part of this, but this is also a job. So meet me halfway and let's rock it out.
Awesome. Pivoting towards obviously now we're going to go to career growth and everything. What's a lesson from sport operations and your entire career, Mandy, that you've worked in sports operations, which you have a lot of experience in everything that applies to life in general, would you say for you?
Talk to everybody. You never know who you're talking to in a grocery store. Be kind. Kindness goes a long way. Being willing to offer a helpful hand. You may be in a parking lot somewhere and helping someone that dropped something, right? Sounds so silly, so simple, but like you never know who that person is and who their connections are. So it's really important that anywhere you go, you represent yourself professionally, and I'm not saying that like not to go have fun or to be like all proper every time you go somewhere, but talk to people, ask them what they're doing, ask them what their story is. Networking, especially in the professional industry, we're in this like tech age where everybody's on LinkedIn and all of this. That's great. Like, I would love to send a LinkedIn connection. However, if I can talk to you in person, I think that goes so much farther. Don't be shy. Reach out to people, talk to everyone. And that works for everyday life. If you're talking to, your leasing office lady versus your maintenance guy, like getting to build relationships with those people, it's all about who you know. And that applies for life, that applies to sports, that applies to everything that you do is, get to know everybody and build those relationships and build those contacts because you never know where it'll lead you.
Great stuff, Mandy. Love that. Love that stuff. Let's go. That pumped me up there. All right. Now, heading for someone in like their own career growth, like if someone wants to work in the sport operations, what would you say a career looks like when it comes to the sport operations field?
Sport ops is very much a position that you get what you put into it. If you're showing up and you're doing the bare minimum every day and you're just checking boxes, that's all it's ever going to be. But if you're showing up and you're showing up every day with a positive attitude, the trying to get everything done, how can I help? What can I do? And I think another really important part of that is like the listening portion. Because a lot of times if you're paying attention, you'll get the hint of like, okay, I heard what they said. Let's do that. And then like, what else could we be doing that would help? So being proactive and being just present goes a long way, and very much you're going to get what you put into it. So if you are looking to just use something as a stepping stone to get some experience, that's all it's ever going to be versus, showing up, offering a helping hand. This may not be your job, but if you can help someone carry a bag across the field, that's huge. That shows character. Like that, those little things go a long way. And the
Hmm.
more little things you have, the greater it adds up and the faster it adds up. Like that's how you get noticed. That's how you open up those conversations with someone who's not in your department or not in your position. That kind of stuff is really how you build that career and you build those contacts to further your career.
No, absolutely, definitely agree with you. And you hinted at answering my next question I have for you, which is what separates someone from moving up in the field versus someone who doesn't? So, like you just mentioned before, like it could be a stepping stone role, or like someone actually wants to work in it. So, what would you say are like some key things you've noticed that are like this person, I would definitely hire them or promote them if I had the opportunity, versus like this person, he just does not fit it. Like I can't see him like moving up in the ladder. What would you say like separates the pack, basically, Mandy?
I think the attitude portion, there's nothing worse than having a big event and having to beg people to do their jobs, especially people when they know what they should be doing versus, I've walked in and been, "Hey, can we?" And they're like, "It's already done." Oh, like those are big pieces to where when you have those massive game days and those big things, like, if someone sees something, the proactiveness of it goes really, really far of like, okay, I know that I have to get X, Y, and Z done. Or I've worked this event last year. I know that this needs to go here, this needs to go there. And like, I have extra hands, like, let's do it. So from a leadership standpoint, I think what separates the difference is taking initiative and taking people with you on that initiative versus just I'm here to clock in and collect a check. If you're just there for the check and you don't love what you do, it's not for you. Like it's just not going to work out. But for those of you that like I want to make it, I want to do this, like this is where I have my goal set, being able to be there and show up and go, "Hey guys, like this is what we're doing, like let's go." I've seen that evolution in staff, and I've had staff that, sometimes just didn't want to be there. And that's the reality of it. They were just there to get a check. They were doing their jobs, but doing the very bare minimum. I would have to ask them, "Hey, can you guys go do this?" Versus like I have a handful of like I know for a fact when I walk in, X, Y, and Z already knows and it's done. And I don't have to think twice about it. So those positions lead to the promotions and the hey, the cool opportunities and the extra hands. Like when I have high profile stuff, I'll always lean to my people that I don't have to think twice about versus my staff, that and like my entire team is wonderful. They really are. So, but that's something I've seen in the past where like you've got people where you're pulling teeth to ask them to do anything, or they're like, "Oh, like we have to go out and do that." No, you get to go do that. And that's the difference.
Mhm. Definitely agree with you. And kind of looking towards the future, where do you see the future heading for sport operations? Like, how do you see it like developing in that field? Like, one thing I did notice, like when I went to the IMG Academy one time with Mandy, who actually gave me a tour, folks, just for fun. The one thing I did notice was the track fields, and
Mhm.
I did not know this until Mandy told me. I was like shocked and blown away by it. Is I believe it's the only gel track in the United States, if I'm
Yeah,
correct.
our track here is a gel track. Look into the sponsors, the name. It's a really cool concept. It's something I have never seen, never heard of until I was here, but it is really, really cool. Watching them pour it, it's done completely different than a normal track, and so seeing that process was actually very, very cool. So shout out to the track. Whoop, whoop.
Yep.
Um, But yeah, so I think from the sports operations side, it's ever changing. And so there's always evolving. And I think for events that happen every year, I think, we get a lot of clients that come year after year after year. And I think from the sport operations side, at least from my standpoint and how we operate on our side, is that you want to create that same experience. Like you want that wow factor every single year. And every year when you have that expectation, you want to go that one step above. Like, what can we do to make it like, yes, you were here last year. How do we elevate your experience from last year? What can we do? Like, what little things can we do to help make this smoother, make this better, make a better presentation? If we need to kind of reevaluate where we set things up to make it easier access, or do we have to change this to make that happen? It's keeping that standard of excellence but then continuing to grow and elevate as you go. So I think that's kind of the future of sport operations is everything is you want to one up every year. Like you want to one up yourself. You want to do a better job. You want to do a better job planning. Could you plan a little more ahead of time? can you coordinate with a couple extra people to see if there's something to make it smoother? Or like, can you prepare your team ahead of time and go, hey, okay, like we have this, and this, and it's going to be a doozy, but we can do it. This is how we're going to get it done. And those items, I think, continue to elevate this role and making sure that you just continue to grow.
No, absolutely. I think one thing I've noticed, like with sport operations, I know it doesn't particular towards your role, Mandy, but like sports stadiums, like we've seen them get bigger, more cooler, more expensive, obviously. Like they're taking basically the future of that. And it just wows me of like it costs that much to make the new stadium. But like Mandy was mentioned before, there's a lot of things that involves with building a new stadium. The marketing, the sponsorship, the sales team, seating, field. Like it could be a gel track for all we know on the football field. I don't know, but maybe. But like that's the one cool thing about that is seeing how this issue is growing because it doesn't get, I want to say, like a lot of attention that you would typically think in a sports role. It's more the behind the scenes, of course. Like nobody is really paying attention to it, which brings us to my next question, which is what's something that fans never notice about sponsorships during games, Mandy?
I think a lot of times, to kind of go with your stadiums and the upgrades and all of that stuff, you can have this beautiful stadium, beautiful venue, all the bells and whistles that you've spent all this money on, but without the people and the staff to run it, it's just a building. And like that's, I think, at the end of the day, kind of the biggest deal of like the people you have running these venues are the backbone of making that stadium so cool, making those dream things happen where you're like, wow, I didn't even notice that. And someone's behind the scenes, like that's the person that hung that banner or changed that screen or did that. Like it's all manpower that makes those venues so just wow. As far as like the sponsorship side of things, I feel like a lot of times people just think it's commercials. And I think that's kind of a sad way to look at it. I think there's a lot more that goes into it where like there's a lot of work that goes into a lot of those, even just the commercials. Like there's so much that goes into them. There's so much planning in different teams and different groups, like getting the talent, making sure that it comes out and that you're giving the right message and you're portraying exactly what you mean when you give those commercials. Like there's not a single commercial that hasn't been filmed at least once or twice because you're going back and you're like, oh man, like that didn't come off as we hoped. Like that doesn't, once we put everything together, we don't like this piece. That's above my pay grade. But I think a lot of times the people always think like, oh, it's a sales ad. It could be an educational piece. It could be something like to introduce you to a product that you've never seen before. It could be for a new event or a new, like a technology release. All of those kinds of things. It's more than a poster board and it's more than like an ad to have you buy something. I think you can learn a lot if you kind of watch. And a lot of times, especially nowadays, there's almost comedy and humor to it to kind of like tailor to the clients that watch them. But it's more than just a billboard and a commercial. Like there's so much more that goes into those. And like,
Yep.
It's not just to sell you stuff. It's really like, there's always something more to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you mentioned before, Mandy, like they're like you guys did the Under Armour, for example. Like that takes a lot, and there's like multiple sponsors involved in that. Like you don't see like honestly, you're just like, oh, it's just a commercial, like it's just posted on there, but like you don't know what the sponsor's actually doing to bring life to the event and the people around it making it happen, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. Grateful for our sponsorship team. They definitely, that is their realm. I play my part on the brand side to run my team here, but it's definitely another gig for the week for sure.
Definitely. And as we round out this episode here, folks, appreciate everyone tuning in. Before we end this here with my last question, make sure you sub to the channel and leave a like on this video for it. But my last question for you, as I've done with all my guests here on the show, I always ask this last question because I always find it very interesting, is if someone like you folks are watching this episode right now, Mandy, that wants to work in sports and sport operations and they have no idea where to start, what should be the very next step they should do after watching this episode right now?
Ooh, find me on LinkedIn. I am very, very open about my role, my position, the internships and the positions that we have. I have no problem answering questions. I'm not shy. Like I said, I've been telling you all episode, reach out, talk, network.
Yep.
I think there are so many people in positions like mine, in positions like whether it be here at the Academy, Florida State, in your favorite sports organization, there is someone that's willing to take some time to answer some questions. So don't be shy of going, hey, you have a job I think I'm interested in, or you have a really cool gig that, I've seen your pictures, or I've seen this, or like I've looked up your role. Send them a message, because the worst thing they do is they don't answer. But then the best case scenario, they do answer, and then you're building connections and you're getting answers. Like, there could be a role where you show up and you ask someone, you're like, hey, like, how does your role look like? Or what does that look like to you? Like, I have a couple questions for you. And then they answer and you're going, oh, like, there are some, I know for a fact I can't sit in an office, right? So like, there are certain roles in the sports realm I would never be a good fit for. And I learned that by talking to people, and I'm going, oh, good for you. More power to you. But I think, don't be shy to send stuff out. If anybody watching this wants to send me a LinkedIn or like get my contact from Jeremy, you're more than welcome to. But seriously, I think, don't be shy. I think more people are willing to have the conversation than you think. I feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, like, I don't want to message this person. Why not? At the end of the day, they're a person. Send that message, reach out. If they don't answer, chances are they're busy. A lot of times, most people are willing to have a conversation. And if they can't, then they won't. It's very, very simple. And I don't think it's worth getting discouraged, or if you don't get an answer back, because somewhere, someone down the line will absolutely give you an answer.
Perfect. That's literally the perfect way to, I will say, it's for Mandy or anyone to answer the question. Like, that's literally what I preach all the time about, like, networking or building genuine relationships. It's like, I've literally done on my YouTube, guys. I've literally had guests like Mandy or like other people, like, literally just send them a message and see what happens. Like, what's the worst can happen? Like, they cannot answer you. Okay. But if they do answer, like Mandy said, it could really be a great opportunity, and you just create another relationship and to bond over that, that could really help you and lean on like mentorship and everything to really help you out. Like Mandy and me connected like not too long
I
ago,
was going to
and
say, we are the perfect example.
yeah, we're literally for example. Like I literally reached out to Mandy because of my other mentor Colby, who we know who's done the
I
precepts
used to
before,
work with
folks.
Colby.
Exactly, folks. And so because of that, Mandy and Colby worked together, and then Colby set me up to like, hey, Mandy would be a great fit to connect with. I send Mandy a message, and then we've been connected since, and here we're doing this episode now.
Here we are. No, it's
So
been incredible. It's been good. It's been a lot of fun.
yes, no, absolutely, folks. But that rounds it here for this episode. We appreciate Mandy coming on, everything to help out. Really appreciate Mandy. And the next time you're at a game or a sporting event, remember the people that do the effortless work around the whole arena to make the event happen. Give appreciation for the people behind the scenes, like Mandy, of course, here. But again, if you enjoy this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a like on this video, share it with someone that actually wants to work in the sports industry. They want to work in operations, or they just want to work in the sports industry in general. Mandy, as she mentioned before, great connection to connect with. But we will see you on the next time of Careers Behind the Game for a finale episode.